EA Sports, within the game. Hey, they say it ain't over till it's over. Well, let me tell you, this one definitely ain't over.
Well, ain't it nice to see a familiar face? Welcome to another year of football with Madden NFL 23. Before we get started, go ahead and change up your options, or just stick with what worked for you last year. And don't worry, if you ever feel like switching it up, you can always change things around in settings later. Accessibility settings. Madden 23 gives you control the stick. Try to hit the sweet spot of the pass. Try to hit the sweet spot of the passing meter to.
Let's go! Ready, ready? Set, ready? Two. Ready, ready? Hit it! Set it! Let's go! Here we go! Secret! Set! Five! Here we go, here we go! Ready, ready? Ready, ready?
Madden 23 gives you multiple new ways. Stick with what you know. Traditional old school Madden style passing. Lead the receiver in any direction by using the left stick.
on victory, straight out the huddle. I met the plug, introduced to my brother. My squad superior, ain't none above us. We doing numbers. Gang in the building, we taking it over. Call the promoters. I just put up in this thing with my soldiers. I blew it and I'm still. Last minute I'ma need me some. Call up Khalifa. Bring the in the. You know I stay with some bad little babies.
This is a special presentation of EA. The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay, and we're underway in the John Madden Legacy game. And he's only going to make it to the 13-yard line and no further. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL, and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
Second down, and back they go to Sanders. And he is met quickly in the backfield. Down he goes, folded like a lawn chair. Crowd getting in it a bit already. Here's an early 3rd and 10. To throw is Favre. Oh, he'll look downfield for Kittle. And he knocks the ball away, and it falls incomplete. So on 4th down, here's the Australia native Mitch Wishnowsky to punt this one away. Back deep, 2-time Pro Bowler Dante Hall. That's pulled in at the 32. A great return there, bobbing and weaving his way for 31 yards. And it'll be a short field ahead as the AFC takes over 1st and 10. To throw is Brady. Trying to drop one in, but it's incomplete. So as we mentioned at the top, well, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High. Eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
And this won't get there. Won't be online either. It's no good. Off to the right, and this will remain a scoreless game. Charles, 54 yards. I'm surprised that came up short.
I would agree with that one because normally, if he misses, it's accuracy, not length, because he has plenty of leg for that. But maybe it's like I hit my golf shot, you know, maybe it's like my wedge, you know.
And it's intercepted. Derwin James with a pick. Room here to run. And he is going to score. It's a pick six and an AFC touchdown. Well, a pick six on the first play of the drive, and Charles, we have our first points of the game, making it 6-0.
Well, while it's only 6 points in the first quarter, it certainly takes a lot of pressure off of them, doesn't it? They're in the lead, they have control. Now they just want to settle it and play their game and defend that advantage.
Now Adam Vinatieri for the point after. And he's got it to make it 7-0 AFC. So the defense creating some points, not only getting the interception, but then returning it to the end zone for the pick six. So they'll get another shot on offense following that pick six, and now the kick is away. This is taken just shy of the 10. And beyond the 20, but not by much. In fact, just a yard pass there to the 21. The NFC offense coming out here. And you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling a coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
It's a second down run with Sanders. And he'll take this to about the 24, a gain of 3. So 7 yards from the first down here as they come up to the line of scrimmage. Throwing is far. Tries for Rice, intercepted. And he'll return it to the 24-yard line. And not the first quarter that he was hoping for. Now 2 interceptions thrown.
Well, the good ones, they find a way to compartmentalize, right? Put these behind them, have that short memory, but understand why they threw the 2 interceptions. They go on and usually play a pretty decent game. Other quarterbacks, they have a hard time getting past it and often put the ball up for grabs the rest of the ball game.
They'll run it with the 85 MVP, Marcus Allen. That's a loss of 8 yards there to bring up third.
We talk all the time about how important it is to have leverage in blocking. It's also a big part of policing up gaps. Did you move someone out of the A gap? Did you move them out of the B gap in order to create space for your guy to run? In this case, all those gaps were shut down.
Yeah, the movement was defensive, and they got him for a loss. The tally there, minus 8 yards. Leads to 4th down as well. 1 quarter in the books at the Coliseum. What a day. It's the AFC Stars with the early lead. This is the John Madden Legacy game on EA Sports. The AFC with a football here to begin the second quarter. And Vinatieri's kick is good. And that will extend their lead even further. So they get the turnover in plus territory. The drive stalls out, but still able to get 3 out of that.
Yeah, we were able to see an offense and a defense kind of mix and match with each other, didn't we? Both of them trying to make sure that they have the upper hand and the advantage. Offense trying to get to the end zone. Defense, of course, trying to hold them to a field goal attempt. And it wasn't a guaranteed lock 3 from where they started. So, you know, the offense has to be happy to come away with those 3 points.
And they'll get him down inside the 30 at the 27. The NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And, Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those were his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, he showed us all how to go up and get it. Great body control. No one's ever done it better playing the ball in the air.
He's going to air one out. And it's knocked away and incomplete.
Thus far, they've been able to move the line of scrimmage very well in the running game. Almost felt like they said in the huddle, can you guys pass protect? Let's take a big shot downfield. Didn't get it on that one, but they may come back to it again.
Wisnowski on to punt as he sends this one away. This is taken at the 15. "51 yards on the punt there. And the AFC will take over 1st and 10. The AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There are 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap, you had to know where he was because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
And he still has yet to get on track in this first half as they're going to stop him behind the line. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st-round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons. He coached with the Vikings. And was there during that time. I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
And for the 3rd time here in this half, it's intercepted. Now the return here is stopped at the 35-yard line. An unfortunate sequence there, trying to get points before intermission, but now the interception, and their opponents have a chance to possibly pad their lead.
Yeah, they had an opportunity there, and they weren't able to capitalize on it, and that's something that could come back and haunt them later. They're begging their defense now to keep them from scoring before the half ends.
A gain of 3, 2nd down. On the toss, here's Allen. And only able to get 2 here, stopped at the 30. They had great starting position to begin the drive, but now they look up at a 3rd and 5. So a good spin move, but not a whole lot to show after as he's taken down. Coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley. We now proceed to the start of the second half. Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. And the second half forthcoming from Oakland. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he had just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, it was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
It'll be Sanders to begin the drive. And this defense able to plug him up there as he'll get a yard to the 35. The run only got a yard. Here's 2nd and 9. Here's Favre to throw. The first catch of the game for George Kittle. And they'll get this down to around the 47-yard line. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on to call 8 Super Bowls together. And how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
On 4th down, the punt team is on as this is sent away. That one sails out of bounds. The side judge will walk it off. And he says it went out of bounds at the 9-yard line. Nice punt. And for an offense that is struggling, this is not where you want to start from. Great punt.
Fantastic punt. And for all those who wonder, what do punters do during the course of practice each and every day? The best ones do what we just saw there. Work on positioning the football and helping their team.
So the completion results there in 9 yards. And they'll have a 2nd and 1 forthcoming. 3 quarters complete now in the John Madden legacy. Back now here on EA Sports. It's the AFC with the lead and the football as we begin the 4th quarter. Brady's throw into the hands of Gonzalez here. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him. And now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the All-Madden team. He's a very popular commercial pitchman. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
Here's Ray Guy now as he's on to punt for the AFC. Fair catch signaled for and taken just shy of the 30-yard line. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. And you're still in this game. I mean, yeah, you haven't scored. Offense obviously has struggled, but you're only 2 scores down, so all hope not lost.
Not at all, because we're talking about...
And his pass is intercepted for the 4th time today. Picked off by Stephon Gilmore. And his crew will take over with a football at the 35-yard line. Ball up to the 35 now as they come up on 1st and 10. They'll run with Allen. That's going to wind up a loss of a full 3 yards on 1st down. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told him, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way, and John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. And after the made field goal, here's Adam Vinatieri to kick it away. This taken in at the goal line. And not a good return here at all as they'll be forced to start at the 12-yard line. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. Well, this offense trying to change the script here a little bit, CD. Trailing on the scoreboard, and the last time out on the very first play of the drive, they threw that interception.
And you definitely saw his coaches, teammates come over to him on the sideline, trying to help him shake it off, because in this game, his team is down right now. So it's important to make sure you get some confidence back from both the quarterback and the entire offense. Otherwise, those mistakes could continue to pile up.
And he's going to go down. Back at his own 5-yard line, it's a sack. Now on 3rd and long, they'll look to throw. Able to complete to Moss. And he's able to get this one all the way past the 30. First down now, but the clock continues to move. Favre's throw complete there to Rice. And he'll be taken down, but not before they work it across midfield. He sets to fire deep. And it's intercepted at the goal line. Picked up by Ron Woodson. And he will bring this all the way up to the 30-yard line. I think you and I were a little surprised back earlier in the game when he threw his second interception. I mean, who would have thought a quarterback of his caliber picked now 5 times?
It's beyond stunning to me because we're used to that with maybe a quarterback with less experience or less talent. But a quarterback of his caliber, I can't believe what we've just seen.
Absolutely. If you would have told me this coming into the ball game, I would have said never, not in a million years. But here we go.
Easy.
Here's Allen. And he'll wind up losing yardage here back at the 21-yard line. Now the NFC going to use their 3rd and final timeout as the clock will stop with 34 seconds to go in the game. Up the middle they run with Bettis. Slipped one tackle, but no more as he's knocked to the deck behind the line of scrimmage. And a loss of 3 to bring up 4.
2 things to watch. First, his strength and being able to break out that initial contact. But at his size, once you slow his momentum, it's hard for him to get it started again and end up tackling him behind the line of scrimmage.
On the return, Hester. So it's a win here for the AFC on an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. Before we go, one final message, and for all of us at EA Sports.
Time to decide how you're going to make your Madden NFL 23 debut.